a video of me faffing around with something. So, I did a video and it failed. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to make a risotto, and I wanted to use the cheap rice, and I kind of wanted to add another layer of flavour to it by toasting the rice before I turned it into a risotto-ish. It was a risotto-ish. It wasn't really a risotto. And it didn't work because what happened was I toasted the rice, and then the rice just kind of like fell to bits as I was cooking the risotto. And it was the toasting of the rice that caused it to fall to bits, because I've made a risotto-ish with this cheap rice before, and it worked. So toasting the rice didn't work. So it just turned into like a rice porridge. It was still it wasn't very nice. It was nice. It wasn't very nice, but I still ate it. So I was curious to know if I could toast other types of rice, and the same thing would happen to that rice. So if it was the rice that was the actual problem, and not the toasting of the rice that kind of was the problem, is this rice just not very good and kind of just falls to bits when you toast it, or does it happen to all kinds of rice? I've got some stock. I've got some leftovers, so I'm going to make a risotto, and I'm going to use this rice pudding rice, which is in the realms of risotto rice. It's not necessarily a risotto rice, but it's a shorter, fatter grain, and it's got plenty of starch in it, which is generally what risotto rices are. So I'm going to toast this rice just in the frame, just in a pan, on a heat gently, just to give it a bit of colour, and then hopefully it'll get a toasted, nutty kind of flavour to it. It's already starting to colour a little bit, so I just need to turn the temperature down. So I'm just going to do it while I'm doing some other jobs in the kitchen. I'm just going to toast this rice, and then we'll make a risotto-ish with it, and then just out of curiosity for myself. So there's about 400 grams worth of rice in there, so that's enough for about 4 portions of risotto. I'll probably eat half that, and then eat the other half on another day, because I'm feeling greedy, and I've had a busy weekend. I'm justifying being greedy. I shouldn't. I want lots of risotto to eat, and that's the only reason you should have to ever give. So we'll see if it works. We'll see how it turns out. We'll have a look at it once I've toasted it, so you can kind of see how much I've toasted it, and then we'll cook it, and we'll see if it falls to bits like that rice did. So, can you see? That's toasted. I don't want to toast it anymore, because there's the danger that it's going to start to catch and burn. Ideally, you'd like it all to be the same, but that's just not going to happen. No, it looks like they've started to crack already. So I don't know if the same thing is going to happen here. That once we've toasted the rice, it's going to want to like crack once we put it in water. I don't know if that's going to be the case. So can you see? Those are toasted. Those are less toasted. They're all toasted, just not some are more toasted than others. So I think the way the board's a bit wet, so it's just steaming that. It's not set on fire. I think the way I thought about it was that. See, I'll talk about this before it actually happens, and then I'll give the impression that I actually know what I'm talking about. When I don't, I'm surely just winging it. I kind of thought that this stuff cracked and turned to porridge after I toasted it and cooked it in a risotto kind of like way. That it had obviously, the heat had obviously cracked the rice, or sent like fractures through it, that then as the rice was being cooked in the liquid, kind of expanded and kind of like blew the rice to bits, and kind of like made it crumble. And that was kind of like my idea of why that kind of happened. And I think potentially this will happen with this, because it looks like, so imagine there's no heat underneath it at the moment, but imagine there's a heat underneath and it's a dry pan, and you're moving the rice around to stop the rice on the bottom colouring too much, and also kind of rotating the rice so the rice on the top gets colour as well. So obviously that kind of movement as well is also potentially causing cracks in the rice. So this might turn to the rice porridge as well, but we will see. I'm not going to cook it now. I just wanted to toast it before I went. It's a Sunday and I'm going to go swimming, and I kind of want, by the time I come home from swimming, I'm generally starving, and the thought of having to toast some rice for 15-20 minutes instead of just cracking on and cooking in it, I didn't want to have to wait like another 20 minutes to toast the rice when I could just come home and start off the risotto. But anyway, so we'll let that cool, and then I've cooked the onions at the back already. I've got some leftover stock from something else, some particularly delicious stock that's got some white wine in it as well. So it'll make a nice risotto or a rice porridge. But I'm waffling, aren't I, as always? But I just want my ideas to get my ideas down on video and what I'm actually thinking about, and then we can sum things up at the end and see if it happens again, just out of curiosity. Right, let's see if this rice explodes cheap rice. So added the rice to the onions, and then we've got stock on the back. Lovely clear stock. It was from chickens that I poached in wine, chicken breast that I poached in wine. Very nice. So few layers will start off. We'll quickly find out if this works. Although, while I was swimming, I did have the thoughts. So, if the cooking it like a risotto breaks the rice up, then we can always try it in like a pilaf or something like that we cook in the oven, or a paella, however you pronounce it. I can't even pronounce my own language, let alone other people's. That's my excuse. So, a couple ladles to start off with, and that looks like some of those have coloured a little bit too much. Not to worry, they'll be fine. So turn down. That's okay. We're just bubbling slightly. Turn the one down on the back. I'm not going to add too much of this stock. We might end up having to put water in because it's a little bit well seasoned. So the danger is that, yeah, it's quite well seasoned. The danger is that it will become too salty. So I might end up having to put water in, or maybe a bit of milk. We'll see how we go. It's not proper risotto, so I'm not that bothered. But anyway, so all them together okay so far. So just as that liquid boils off, you can always add a little bit more. There's different ways to make risottos. And I'm not a purist when it comes to risottos, but we'll see how it turns out. Right, so this risotto is getting to just about the stage of being ready, and the rice is broken up a little bit, but not as much as the cheap rice. We still have some whole grains of rice in there. So we can toast rice when it's something like a rice pudding rice or a risotto rice, but we can't toast it when it's a cheap rice. So we've learnt something. And now I still want to know if I can toast a cheap rice and cook it like a pilaf or a paella. I'm going to put some pea puree into this, just out of interest. So it was, what was the recipe? 400 grams of rice, and then 200 grams of peas, and about 300 grams worth of onion, and then stock. I would have used about 3 stock cubes in this, I think, and not put any salt in. Use the stock cubes as a seasoning. So we'll mix this pea in, and we'll see how it turns out, and then we'll stir some cheese in. I'm not going to put any butter into it because I used the fat from the top of the stock for for frying the onions, and I've just added a bit more. So it's already fatty and silky enough. So there we go. So, and then how much cheese we're going to put in? Yeah, we might as well do a recipe while we're here. So how much is this lump of actual Parmesan today, rather than the actual cheap stuff? A non-Parmesan hard cheese, Italian hard cheese, is a grata, which Parmesan and Pecorino falls under the umbrella of, but a grata, what is it? I think a Parmesan can be a grata can't necessarily be Parmesan. So there's 160 grams worth of cheese there, and then we'll grate in cheese. It really should be there. We should really grate it on that one, but I'm not going to. I'm going to grate it on this one, and we'll see how much cheese we're going to add. And we're going to rely on the, yeah, we'll turn the heat off. We're going to rely on the heat of the rice to melt the cheese. It should be on the finest one, I know it should, but I really can't be bothered, and it just takes forever to do it, and it takes forever for to clean the grater, when we can just grate it on this one and use the heat of the rice to melt it. It's a little bit thicker than a risotto should be, but I'm not bothered. I'm not going for a Michelin star. I'm not looking for any awards. I just want something that's nice to eat. I might have to put a little bit more water in, just to loosen it, or I might put some milk in. Yeah, or maybe, actually, for putting cheese in risotto, maybe just 2 stock cubes. It smells rather cheesy, does that? So, how do we taste? More cheese and pepper, and we're going to put some butter in. Longer video than I would have liked, but I'm not really bothered. So how much does this work? So we're putting about 100 grams worth of cheese. There's about 60 grams left. Yeah, it's quite right. That's fine. That'll be cheesy enough. And then we've got some leftover butter and something else. So that and that. That's about 50 grams. Yeah, it's about 50 grams worth of butter, that. I guess. Put some water in. That much. Don't know how much stock I used. That's better. There we go. So, the rice has broken up a little bit, but it held together better than the cheap rice. Not a very appetizing colour, but it will be delicious. So, well, a success because it's worked, and a success because it's given me another idea for another video. There we go.